All right, thank you, Dan, here in Maui. The third quarterfinal round game of the day. It's Feast Week presented by Lowe's. First day at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Earlier today, Memphis dispatched Oklahoma and Georgia Tech handled Purdue. Those games were each close early on. The victors pulled away late. They'll meet in a semifinal tomorrow, will Memphis and Georgia Tech. The other semifinal will be the winner of this game between DePaul and Kentucky, and the one later tonight, Chaminade and UCLA. You saw a lot of Kentucky fans as usual, no matter how far-flung the destination, they are here. For DePaul, it's Curry, Mejia, Burns, Chandler, and Clark, 4 returning starters from a year ago for the Blue Demons. And for Kentucky, it's Bradley with Crawford and Perry. And Kentucky in white controls the tip. Stevenson won the tip for Kentucky.
Unfortunately, Sean McDonough and Jay Billis, a little matchup zone here. 1-3-1. Going to squeeze on the wings.
Ramel Bradley for 3.
Well, he continues to knock them down. Now 5 threes the last game.
That was a career best in their win Friday night against Mississippi Valley State. That Rupp Arena before they made the trip out here. The Cats are 2-0 as they come to Maui, and an offensive foul called against DePaul.
And maybe more important than the shooting that Ramel Bradley brings might be his on-ball defense on that last possession, really forcing the drive by Curry, and a terrific job by Bobby Perry to come over and pick up that charge. That's team defense, 5 playing as 1.
DePaul Curry was called for the offensive foul, first foul of the game.
DePaul playing small, Sean.
Strong move inside by Randolph Morris. This shot might have been deflected, and it was taken in by Karan Clark. Braylon Burns kicked it out to the wing, and the 3 wouldn't drop for Sammy Mejia. And Randolph Morris, the rebound. He's off to a great start this year, averaging 15 points, 9.5 rebounds, and a 3 for Perry.
A terrific job by Kentucky of passing the ball ahead. Last year, Rajon Rondo would have kept that ball in his hands for that whole break. But this year, Kentucky looking to pass ahead, and when you do that, guys will run.
Strong drive by Karan Clark, but he could not finish, and Bobby Perry took down the rebound for Kentucky. Their wins both at home against Miami of Ohio and Mississippi Valley State. Crawford kept it alive, and Stevenson, the freshman, with the dunk.
Wow. He's been impressive defensively, but that was a good assist around the rim and a quick timeout by DePaul.
8-0 blitz to open the ball game for the Wildcats of Coach Tubby Smith.
Passing ahead, Ramel Bradley finding Bobby Perry, getting into their secondary, and immediately putting it up. But how about this?
This is impressive. A little bit of a facial on this one. Send it in, big fella.
And welcome back to Maui, everybody. Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery. Jay, in the case of Kentucky, 22-13 last year. At a lot of schools, that's a great year. Kentucky, it is not. Some attitude problems. They think those might have been a thing of the past now. What do you look for from them this year?
Well, I think they're going to be a bigger team, especially at the guard spots, and they're going to look to push the ball up the floor more. I think a real key for that team is going to be Ramel Bradley and Randolph Morris. You've already seen Randolph Morris fading away instead of going into his guy and trying to pick up a foul. But I think Kentucky's going to be a better team this year than last year.
They'd like him to be more assertive, and Paul, a tough start. I mean, high expectations. They haven't played well early in the year here, Sean, so they've got to settle down, make good judgments, don't charge, and get good shots.
12-15 last year in their first year under Jerry Wainwright, and in their first year in the Big East, but finished well. They were picked to be in the middle of the pack in the Big East this year, but they've had a disappointing 1-2 start. The jumper wouldn't go for Wilson Chandler. DePaul opened the year with road losses at Bradley and at Northwestern. They really struggled with their offense in those games, and then won against Eastern Illinois. They arrived here at 1-2. Morris had it batted out of bounds. Tony Green, Jeff Nichols, and Bob Donato are the officials. Tubby Smith beginning his 10th season as head coach at Kentucky. Won the national championship in his first year as head man in Lexington. Has not been back to the Final Four since. If they don't make it back to the Final Four this year, that'll be the longest gap between Final Four appearances in Kentucky history.
Guy only averages 27 wins a year, and it's not good enough.
Tough place. A lot of interest.
First-year starter. Shot clock's down to 5. Bradley has to shoot. And Bradley maintaining that was actually grazed off the hand of Wilson Chandler, but he didn't get the call.
DePaul's going to have to show a little bit more patience here. They've got a mismatch, or have had some mismatches in this ball game, and they need to get some ball movement rather than just pounding it on the deck.
Curry had it blocked by Randolph Morris. Bradley in transition.
Well, they look impressive, but it all starts with defense.
Well, their defense was very good, but DePaul can't just do it off of one guy taking it off the dribble. They've got to move this defense and then attacking it. This is a better offensive team than they're showing.
Ball is 0 for 4 from the floor. And a foul called on Morris, and Marcus Hurd will go to the line. That's the first foul on Randolph Morris, the junior from Atlanta.
Looking for run out. Jay mentioned earlier, Sean, they're passing the ball much better. The run-out suffers a new spirit, but all set up by DePaul with some faulty judgment.
DePaul runs some very good offensive sets. They run an offense they call 4-game. It's really a lot of pass and cut motions and dribble handoffs, backdoors, weaves. But so far it's been just one guy taking it off the dribble, and they're going against a set defense when they're doing it. And then, as you said, Bill, Kentucky's getting runouts as a result.
Marcus Hurd made both free throws. He's a senior from Springfield, Illinois. DePaul in opening the year 1 and 2. Has averaged just 56 points per game. Has had difficulty at the offensive end, and that has continued without a field goal so far. Nice elbow jumper by Bobby Perry, and he has 5.
And DePaul not doing a good job in their man-to-man. No communication, no slide through the screen.
Bobby Perry has not shot the ball well the first couple of games for Kentucky, so getting off to a good start, important for him and his confidence. He's a real leader for this team.
They got the carry.
Jerry Wainwright was saying they get about 5 of those a game. You know, he considers them to be a city team. That's the way they are used to making moves. But that's something they'll adjust to because they are a good ball handling team. Those are just bad habits that kids get into.
Jerry Wainwright, a Chicago area native, back coaching in his hometown at age 59. One of the real characters in college coaching. It's been a disappointing start, but he certainly hasn't lost his sense of humor. Randolph Morris too strong inside for Wesley Green.
So that's the difference. You're going to use the power game, good ball movement, reverse the basketball, the ball, the quick jack.
Sammy Mejia, one of the best players in the Big East, had it blocked by Perry, and Wesley Green there to flip it in. And DePaul has its first field goal scored by the big junior, 6'9", 295 out of Eustis, Florida. He's actually down about 70 pounds from earlier in his career.
And Jay played against his dad, Sean. Not well, but he was a little thinner version.
Well, his dad was a great player at Wake Forest, Kenny Green. Went into the draft in 1985 as the 11th pick of the Washington Bullets, and just a great, great player.
And after the bucket by Morris, the response by Wilson Chandler, who was one of 2 DePaul players, along with Mejia, picked by the coaches on the Big East preseason all-conference team. DePaul and Georgetown, the only teams in the Big East of the 16 that are 2 players selected to the preseason all-conference squad. That's another reason why optimism is running high for DePaul this year. And now Bradley and Kentucky is just about as hot as can be to start this game.
Well, Sean, not that you can't shoot. You can make the shots. Nobody sliding through, getting over the top. No hand in the face.
And that was just a simple double stack low. Bradley was able to choose whether he comes off the single or the double. That's just way too easy.
Draylon Burns, nice move inside. After Wesley Green ran down the Burns miss in the corner and got it back to Draylon underneath. 6 minutes gone by. Kentucky 8 out of 11 from the floor. And And right on cue, Morris a miss, and Chandler the rebound. The Blue Demons running the floor, and Draymond Burns the layup.
A great pass, huh? Proper trajectory.
And one of the few times Kentucky has not gotten back.
Bradley missed a quick three, and another rebound for Wilson Chandler, averaging over 7 per game through the first three. And a three in transition, and DePaul right back in the ball game at 3 from number 3, Draymond Burns.
Terrible transition defense by Kentucky, and that is what Tubby Smith is upset with. Quick shots, and nobody is getting back for the Wildcats.
Kentucky leads 18-14. DePaul back in it after missing their first 5 shots. They've hit 5 out of 6, and Kentucky solid early.
Well, a pretty easy play. Ramel Bradley coming off the double side of a single double down low, and then Bobby Perry trying to go off the other side. And as Bill mentioned, DePaul not doing a great job of handling that. And in order to handle it, one of the things you have to do is communicate, and that's not what young teams are very good at, especially this DePaul team. They're really struggling with it.
Jerry Wainwright said we'd be great in the mime league. We'd be number 1 because we don't communicate. Here's Derek Jasper, a freshman who's in the game. Łukasz Orszuk off the bench, the big 7-footer from Poland with a smooth shooting stroke. And he's quickly on the score sheet.
Yeah, he's good facing the hoop. He's on the back to the basket guy. On the floor now, Will Walker gives him a lot of juice out there for DePaul.
Waylon Burns fouled on a hand check by Jody Meeks, another freshman who has come in off the Kentucky bench. They looked a little winded heading into that timeout, and Tubby got some subs in Maui.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by EA Sports Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2007. In stores now. Mitsubishi Motors, driven to thrill. And Burger King, who remind you to have it your way.
Another beautiful day on the island of Maui. First of 3 days of the 23rd EA Sports Maui Invitational. Kentucky won this event back in 1993. They're making their 4th trip here. Coming off a 22-13 season, they lost 5 home games, second highest home loss total at Rupp Arena in the 30-year history of that building. Lost in the second round of the tournament to Connecticut by 4. And a lot of people starting to wonder, in particular Kentucky, has the recruiting slipped a little bit?
Well, I think they've got some good guys coming in. I'm a big believer in Tubby Smith. I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's a great coach. And over the last 3 years, they've won 109 games. That's 3rd only to Duke and Illinois nationally.
And you think of Maryland, what they've been able to do in a sense with other guys, John.
Derek Jasper fouled, and they'll count the basket. Waylon Burns saying, wait a minute, I fouled him at the free throw line. And Jerry Wainwright is very upset. But Jeff Nichols says, count the basket.
Just an inadvertent slip here. Very unselfish play.
This young man is going to be an outstanding college player. Derek Jasper, he's 6'6" and a freshman. He was a top 50 recruit, highly rated, but he's very unselfish. He passes ahead, he finds people, he competes, and he's very good off the bounce and got great size at the point guard.
And the point with Maryland, with the team concept, I think Tubby really enjoys this group. They're mature, they seem to get along, get a lot out of the year.
Jasper made his first ever collegiate free throw attempt to give Kentucky a 9-3. Hey, what a pass! Wesley Green put it up over the rim, and the finish by Wilson Chandler.
Jay had mentioned they run some great stuff. A little bit of a back cut, organized play from the elbow and the lob, but a big fella.
Well, that drives the Kentucky coaches crazy because they scouted it.
Jasper set up Orszuk, and the bench giving the Wildcats some nice minutes. Green faces up and fires it way too long over Orszuk. Michael Porter is on the floor, another freshman, number 1 for Kentucky, back on defense after the Cats turned it over. And a layup for the freshman Will Walker, a highly touted recruit who's come into DePaul.
And that's why you don't pass with one hand. Jasper tried to throw the pass cross court with one hand. It slipped out. It was a layup for DePaul as a result.
And Chandler with a great bounce pass for the layup on the other end.
Jasper shut off by the fellow freshman Walker. Three freshmen on the floor right now for Kentucky. This is Jody Meeks. Porter for three out of the corner. Looked like he juggled the pass originally and still buried it. He's out of Modesto, California.
A kid who can knock him down. Dad was his high school coach as well. Doesn't hurt.
Recruited as a football player by Southern Cal and Pete Carroll.
And the first points of Porter's career answered on a three by Will Walker, the freshman from Bolingbrook, Illinois. His dad, Thomas, was a high school teammate of Mark Aguirre, one of the great players in DePaul history. They played their high school ball in Chicago at Westinghouse. Meeks. Porter. All the way to the bucket, and he has five.
What a nice job by Art Zook to screen his man away.
Nice job by Porter to follow that ball and go after it.
Ron Clark, who transferred after 1 year at the University of Miami. His miss taken back the other way by Derek Jasper.
Those strips.
Porter a bit anxious, just the second turnover for Kentucky. Wide open action. Barely midway through the half, already 30 points on the board for Kentucky. This is the start of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. 38 games this week on ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU from 6 different sites. 10 top 25 teams. 4 of them here in Maui, including the UCLA Bruins. They'll play in the final game of the day here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. 11 Eastern time approximately as they take on our gracious hosts from Chaminade University of Honolulu, the Silver Swords, coming off one of the best seasons in the history of their program last year.
Hey, you watch that bench with Tubby. Jay and I were just chatting off air. They can change the complexion of the game with their freshman people. They uptick, they pass it forward quickly.
Jody Meeks. Tubby Smith brought Jody Meeks in from Norcross, Georgia. Terrific shooter, really physical. He's got an opportunity to be a really good basketball player down the line.
Obviously an issue over the scorers table. Jerry Wainwright with his top assistant Gary DeCesar, longtime high school coach in New York City.
They better not put a microphone over there. Jerry will do a stand-up.
Jerry was doing stand-up yesterday at their practice. About halfway through their scheduled workout in here, the power went out, the lights went out, the air conditioning went off. And he told his team, go ahead and shoot anyway. You shoot better in the dark.
He said it was an omen, but who walked in as the lights went out?
I did.
Yes. You have dimmed a few arenas in your day.
Not the first time I have darkened a room by entering. Jerry's still wondering what's going on. Apparently they're trying to determine whether the last DePaul basket was a 2 or a 3. That should be a 3 for Will Walker. It was deemed a 3 live, and it's going to remain a 3.
You mentioned his dad, right? Played with Mark Aguirre. His dad didn't get many shots, I assume.
Well, Mark took a lot of shots. Scored a lot of points. For the legendary coach Ray Meyer, who passed away in March on St. Patrick's Day at the age of 92. The DePaul team this year wearing throwback uniforms and also a patch in memory of the Hall of Fame coach. Traveling to call against Jabari Curry, the sophomore from Detroit. 5th turnover for Jerry Wainwright's bunch.
Pretty good job defensively by Kentucky, not allowing Curry to turn the corner after that run-out ball screen.
And that's why Clink Sales is in there, a kid who can make some plays, pretty good judgment frequently.
Clint Scales, a backup guard, part-time starter last year. There's number 12. He's up on Michael Porter. Thomas underneath, and the reverse missed by Jasper. Still 3 freshmen on the floor for Kentucky. Ron Clark missed a 3, and over the back goes Lorenzo Thompson. Hard to miss at 6'8" and about 42-90. The senior from Chicago, a team co-captain and the team comedian. He donned a red wig at their version of Midnight Madness and belted out the Aretha Franklin smash hit, Respect. That's what
which I get very little from you.
Wear a red wig and we'll give you some.
I asked, why is he so funny? Some of the kids, they said, everything he does is funny.
Meeks for three. The freshman from Norcross, Georgia, in the first Wildcat off the bench in their first couple of games of the season. Tubby saying he's physically and mentally mature as a freshman.
He's a big-time athlete, too. You can see that sweet stroke, but he's a long jumper. Also a 4x100-meter relay participant. He's just a really solid athlete.
Sheree Thomas, I think, trying to move the postman out.
You are correct. First foul on the Canadian Thomas, and the third against Tubby's Cats. We lead 33-21. With 8.5 to go till halftime. 21st meeting all time between these two proud programs, but they haven't met since 1970. Kentucky's won 17 of the previous 20 meetings.
2-3 zone on the out of bounds underneath.
Sammy Mejia, now a senior out of the Bronx. Second youngest of 11 children is Mejia. Green, boy, as he demonstrated a nice passing ability here in the first half. He found Mejia along the baseline.
Mejia is very active against zone. Finds holes, good baseline cut, and hands here.
Intercepted the Porter pass.
Yeah, just not strong enough with the ball.
Green did well to handle that pass under the bucket, but then as he was losing his balance, threw it away, and Meeks was held on a reach-in by Draylon Burns. Second foul on Burns, a junior from Milwaukee. And a timeout here in beautiful Maui.
Welcome to ESPN2's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
And welcome back inside the Lahaina Civic Center. Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery. Third game of the day here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. And we mentioned the patch in honor of the legendary coach and gentleman Ray Meyer. 42 years as head coach at DePaul. 724 wins. Inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And I think one of the most remarkable notes on his career, guys, 2 trips to the Final Four. One in 1943 and the other one in 1979.
There's the famous Bird Magic group along with Penn. What a sweetheart, though, Sean. I know you ran into him and Jay did. I saw him at his last NCAA. That smile just warmed up the room.
Just a great man, and as they said about Bo Schembechler in football, Ray Meyer was a giant in the game of college basketball.
Jerry Wainwright, when he was a high school coach in the Chicago area, used to go watch Ray Meyer run his practices at DePaul. Kentucky, its 4th turnover. Jerry would occasionally drive up to Milwaukee and watch Al McGuire run the Marquette practices. So he took advantage of his proximity to some great coaches to learn from Hall of Famers. Both teams shooting well. Under 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. Chandler, strong drive on Perry, who's a good defender, and the nice little jump hook by the sophomore from Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Well, Jay was lamenting they haven't run any much for him. Nice pick and pop. His shot selection terrific. Great control, smoothness with the bounce.
Boy, he can put it on the floor. He's got everything you want in the play.
Now Bradley got stuck in the air. That's one concern they have about him. Morris was fouled. Bradley can be an explosive scorer as a point guard, but he can also be a little wild and try to do too much.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a pass-first point guard, but he has the ability to make good passes and make good decisions. He's still learning his way around at that position, not having played it A, his whole life, and B, much last year.
Morris after the foul on Walker, the first on Will Walker. Randolph Morris missed the first free throw. He was 4 out of 5 for the year from the line. His first attempt today. First last year, missed basically the first half of the season. He had entered the 2005 NBA draft, then withdrew, but there was some question about whether workouts for NBA teams were arranged by an agent. By the time that got all sorted out, it cost him 14 games. Tubby thinks he'll be a lot better this year with the full focus, knowing all throughout the offseason he was getting ready for a full college season.
Morris has the chance to be one of the best big men in America. But he's got to be a little bit more aggressive, not only looking to score, but looking to exploit his matchup and being better on the glass.
He's not explosive, though. That's part of his problem with the bigs around the hoop.
Yeah, he doesn't have much lift, but still at his size, if he does his work early, there's no reason he shouldn't be one of the most productive bigs in the country.
Mejia missed, but Wesley Green is giving them nice minutes here in the first half, the offensive rebound. And he'll go to the line. We mentioned Wesley's dad, Kenny, was the first-round draft pick in the NBA draft in 1985, the 12th pick in the draft that year by Washington. He was taken one spot ahead of Karl Malone, but lasted only 2 years in the NBA with Washington and Philly, and unfortunately is now in prison in Florida as a result of drug-related issues.
You know, Jay has played against so many great players. He's made families a lot of money. As they moved on in their career.
I'll tell you what, he was a great player, and the fact that he was not a better NBA player had more to do with off-court issues than on, because he had the game. I mean, he had a near unblockable turnaround jumper, long arms, just a really smooth performer.
Wesley Green, a 62% career free throw shooter, makes both. He has 4 off the bench, and DePaul scratching back into it again, now down by 7.
Now, ironically enough, Kenny Green played on the Wake Forest team in 1984 that I think beat DePaul in the NCAA tournament. It was Ray Meyer's last game.
Morris's jumper a little bit long, and Bobby Donato has a whistle. And it's against Kentucky. College basketball action continues on ESPN tomorrow night. Both semifinal games from the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Memphis will take on Georgia Tech at 7. The winner of this ball game will meet the winner of the game still to come here tonight between UCLA and Chaminade. That semifinal tomorrow night at 9. Of course, great daytime action tomorrow here as well with Dave O'Brien and Rick Majerus.
What a track meet that Georgia Tech-Memphis game has a chance to be.
Wesley Green having a nice half. That continues. Nimble on his feet as he threw that in from the elbow. All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game.
Oh, too deep. Good double by Chandler. What a great help.
But look how he fades away. Morris gets that deep position, and he winds up being the guy that's bumped out toward the sideline instead of getting into his defender, causing that contact, and either getting to the free throw line or finishing a play. He tends to fade away rather than go into contact.
Seems to be off balance, too, when he catches. Not a good look.
Mejia the steal. 1-on-1 on Bradley. And nicely done. Jerry Wainwright said there's no doubt Sandy Mejia is a top 10 player in the Big East. Perry swatted again by Chandler.
Oh, what a reaction. Give it to him.
3 would tie it. Kentucky fans, and there are a lot of them here, thought he walked. Dave Gavitt, the tournament chairman, said they found a couple of Kentucky fans yesterday hiding out in the bathroom. They didn't have tickets. They traveled all the way out here. They wanted to get in. They were trying to hide. The security found them. They found a couple of other fans on the roof of this Civic Center.
What research you do?
10-1 run for DePaul to get within 3. Under 5 minutes to go now in the first half. Joe Crawford, the junior, have shot altered by that shot-blocking presence of Wilson Chandler.
He is very impressive on this end. Right now, Sean, they're running their stuff at the other end. DePaul now much more efficient, being patient, getting the ball to the proper guy.
And Kentucky not doing that. The answer has been put your head down and put the ball on the floor and try to make a play by yourself instead of running your offense.
Chandler, good kick. That's a 2, and a wooden drop for Karan Clark. And then a silly foul on Wesley Green after Morris had the rebound.
Morris fading away, and because of the fadeaway, Chandler with the chance to get up and block it, and this time coming from the backside and swiping that thing away. Again, Bobby Perry putting that ball on the floor without having run a whole lot of offense, and DePaul just collapsing right on it.
Jerry Winger, he's got to be delighted the way they're all migrating to the point of attack, doubling the basketball on occasion.
And the way they have fought back, getting down 8-0. They were down by 9 with just under 10 minutes to go, and to have battled back to within 1 possession. That's pretty solid.
Wesley Green has gone to the bench with 1 foul. And 4 minutes to go in the half now. DePaul does have 4 starters back, 9 lettermen back, 94% of their scoring back. The only key loss was Marvin Glenfield off of last year's team, is now a student assistant coach. Now to Bounds, last touch by DePaul as Jody Meeks was stripped. Kentucky will play it in, up by 3 when we come back.
Dave Revson in the studio alongside Fran Fraschilla and Stephen Bardo. Coming up at the half, the latest on Brett Favre's injury status and plenty of college hoop talk. What's caught your eye so far?
Well, and speaking of injuries, DeMarcus Nelson is healthy. He was absolutely outstanding tonight.
And the young Bucks from Ohio State, Daquan Cook and Conley, looking good so far against San Francisco.
Even without Greg Oden. Back to you guys. Sean?
All right, Trevor, thank you. Kentucky Wildcats out here in the days leading up to Thanksgiving. What a treat for these fans who made the long trip. 7 to shoot off the inbound play now for the Cats. So it's a deep 3 by Ramel Bradley.
He was aware.
And DePaul, that was a bit too difficult to handle for Karan Clark off the heave by Jabari Curry.
Yeah, Curry, as they knock down this jumper, he's had 2 drives that were turnovers in that pass. He's got to relax and run the show for Jerry.
It's so important with Ramel Bradley to get a hand up on him and make him put it on the floor. Too good of a shooter to give an open look, even from that deep.
Going a little out of control. They're handling the ball. Morris rescued it and got it off to Jody Meeks for the dunk. And the freshman has 5. He had 13 Friday night in their win against Mississippi Valley State. Mejia with Curry, Green, Clark, and Chandler for DePaul. And a 3 by Jabari Curry out of Pershing High School in Detroit. He was 2 times All-City. His first points of the ball game. He's averaging 4 per game through their first 3. Sheree Thomas missed their 2 exhibition games and their opener against Miami of Ohio for a suspension, unspecified violation of team rules. Tough shot over Chandler. And good work on the offensive glass by Bobby Perry. Wesley Green in good position. I don't think he knew Perry was coming. Perry just went right over the top of him and ripped it away.
Yeah, that's one where Perry just wanted it more. I mean, Green had the ball essentially in his hands and almost took it for granted that he was going to get that rebound. And Perry came in from behind and took it away, just stronger.
That's a close on Green. And Perry, with his first free throws of this season, he made his last 25 in a row last year. So it's 26 straight. Of course, a lot of that was done in the NCAA tournament when he was brilliant. Played the best basketball of his career in their 2 games. Had a career-high 25 in their opening round win against UAB. And then had 20 in their second-round loss to Connecticut.
And that loss to Connecticut, Kentucky had the Huskies. And just shows how even and balanced things were last year, because it very well could have been Kentucky that moved on from that game.
7 points now for Bobby Perry, a senior team leader out of Durham, North Carolina. Jabari Curry. Last year he was a freshman trying to learn how to play point guard. Jerry Wainwright said that in the Big East, that's like trying to do surgery your first year in medical school. Curry has it back and then wildly throws it up there. Chandler rescued it. And the spinner for 2.
Incredible.
Curry should thank him for saving him from a turnover and making it into an assist.
And Chandler's just a sophomore, but there are a lot of NBA scouts here, and he is making quite an impression on them in this first half.
Boy, Curry has really thrown it up wild, but he has been great on both ends of the floor. Just such a solid player. He's got to touch it almost every trip for his team.
Well, Sean mentioned the NBA scouts that are here, and Chandler has every tool that the NBA or any level of basketball would be looking for in a player. And right now, he's like a Ferrari sitting on the lot. But what people really want to know is what's he got under the hood. I mean, what kind of motor does he have? How hard will he play? How bad does he want it? And he's still a young player learning his way, and I think he has a chance to be a great college player before he's done.
2 fouls now on Jabari Curry. 11 points for Ramel Bradley. Saw the graphic. He broke his left hand late last season, missed a couple of weeks. From New York City, out of Park West High School in Manhattan, and then spent some time at the IMG Academy down in Florida.
Well, he's such a competitive guy. I like the fire that he brings onto the court. He needs to be a little bit better of a leader, especially with the ball in his hands. That's something you have to have from your point guard. That's not only vocal leadership, but leadership by example with the decisions you make with the ball.
The lead 7 for Kentucky as we approach a minute and a half left till halftime. Mejia strong drive, and Chandler added a little degree of difficulty to the shot, and it didn't drop. Morris in the corner.
A good hustle by Randolph Morris. Good hands as well.
Both teams have played hard here in this first half. There's Jasper, the freshman, the MVP of the Super 64 high school all-star event in Las Vegas over the summer, and he got called for palming the ball.
Anytime the ball comes to rest, if you stop the motion of the basketball in your hand, they're going to call a palming violation. That's a point of emphasis this year, and the referees are really sticking to it.
Everybody blames Allen Iverson. These days at Georgetown, that used to come up. But it's an easy way to beat people.
Mejia in New York City said he wasn't really that interested in DePaul, but then DePaul coach Dave Lato was a good friend of Mejia's AAU coach. He visited DePaul as a favor to his AAU coach and liked what he saw, and then committed to the Blue Demons. Pretty nice. Clink Scales dumped it off, and the finish along the baseline by Marcus Hurd.
Great use of the bounce.
And great hesitation as well.
Right at the top.
The hesitation move got the defender to pull up just a little bit, and Clinkscale flew right by.
Shot clock is off. Kentucky can hold for the last shot. Bradley with 3 seconds. One-handed rebound by Chandler, and it's halftime. So give DePaul credit. They were down by as many as 12. And they have battled back, led by Wilson Chandler. Ramel Bradley leads all scorers with 12 for Kentucky. Halftime at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Here's Dave Rebson.
Thank you, Sean. Dave Rebson in the studio alongside Fran Fraschilla and Stephen Bardo. Time for our halftime report. Let's get you some earlier action from Maui as we check out a Memphis team. Lost a couple first-round draft picks off last year's team. Rodney Carney is gone, as is Sean Williams, but John Calipari still has plenty of talent. Donnell Mack right there puts Memphis on top by 3, led it by 7 at the half. Then it's Willie Kemp.
Oh, we have freshmen. So many good young players in Maui.
And Mr. Basketball from Tennessee last year, he finished with a dozen. Later in the second, Andre Allen, Steven.
Quickness abound here. Not as good as maybe Darius Washington, but effective on this team thus far.
77-65, Memphis gets the win. They get the winner of Purdue and Georgia Tech. That will help the Georgia Tech cause. Mohamed Faye with the jam. Tech up by 2. They've got a couple outstanding freshman guys. Thaddeus Young leading the pack.
Well, Thaddeus Young, super athlete from that small forward spot. You saw that athletic ability.
And then it's Javaris Crittenden here, Steve.
Crittenden, one of those guys we said talent coming off the bone for Paul Hewitt there, showing his versatility right there.
He finished with 20. Coming up, more youth movements. Coach K's young Chargers taking out a veteran Air Force squad. Saw the Ohio State guys as well. See how they did against the Dons. And who is your NL MVP? But you know which of these guys took home the award? That's all next.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. This year, there's no place like Lowe's for the holidays. Lowe's, let's build something together. And K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
continues from the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Third quarterfinal round game of the day. First day of the three. The winner of this one advances to tomorrow night's semifinals to meet the winner of the last game today between Chaminade and UCLA earlier today. Actually, this morning for the first game, Memphis and Georgia Tech. The winner, Sean McDonough with Jay Billis and Bill Raftery. Welcome back to Maui. Looked like it might be a blowout, 10-0 Kentucky right off the opening tip. Give DePaul credit.
DePaul really fought back. I thought they really picked up their defense. They started spreading Kentucky out, putting the ball on the floor and exploiting some matchups and really getting to the rim, both in transition and in their half court.
It's nice to see you two inside, by the way. Take us through this replay.
Well, Cliff Clinkscale puts the ball on the floor and really does a nice job of getting to the basket. But you can see the good spacing that DePaul has on this, really spreading out the Kentucky defense. And you can see Clinkscale puts the ball on the floor, gets right by Ramel Bradley, and there's no help. He can't get over, otherwise he can make the nice dish.
Paul trailed by as many as 12 in the first half, down by 5 with the ball as the second half begins. Here's Wilson Chandler inside to Wesley Green. They open the half with Karan Clark, Sammy Mejia, and Cliff Clinkscales. This is Clinkscales, the junior from Queens, New York. Now Mejia inside, and it spins out. Batted out by Bobby Perry and handled by Perry Stevenson, the freshman who started the ball game but didn't see much action beyond the first couple of minutes. Played 8 minutes early on. Wesley Green, when he runs you over, you know it. Randolph Morris is a big man. He went down like a feather. DePaul shot 54% to Kentucky's 53 in the first half. Pretty even half, as the stats would indicate.
Jay, I think the difference is Wilson Chandler for DePaul, at least. I mean, defensively, he's blocked shots. He's been in the right spot. And they start the half with their best postman, Mejia, best post moves. So they got what they wanted. They weren't able to convert.
Well, Wilson Chandler's got to get more shots. He had 9 points in that first half, only had 6 shots. He's got to get the ball more in a position to score because he is very, very difficult to stop. What a talented player.
We spoke with Jerry Wainwright yesterday, so we're having trouble inside, and they just saw Wesley Green go to the bench with his third foul. He's been a factor inside so far. Stevenson missed the jumper. He's a freshman from Lafayette, Louisiana. Well, his sign's just 178 pounds. Imagine what he's going to be like when he bulks up. Morris ripped down the rebound to the Chandler miss.
Stevenson so long-armed. He averaged 10 blocks per game in high school. And the leader on this Kentucky team in blocks this season with 11. His length bothering Chandler a bit on the other end.
Average of triple doubles in junior and senior. Great penetration. A little kiss of it there.
By Joe Crawford, the junior from Detroit. In fact, Stevenson's high school coach compared him to Bill Russell, and he knew what a lofty comparison that was. But in terms of shot blocking, you mentioned the 2 years in a row, Bill, of triple doubles. It was points, rebounds, and block shots, the third component of his annual triple doubles. Clinkscales bounces to the bucket. DePaul backing in 5 on the first basket of the ball game for Clinkscales.
Well, that can't make Tubby Smith happy. I'm not sure that Clinkscales could get to the basket that easy in pregame warm-ups.
He did it once in the first half, though, Jay. Pretty clever with the bounce.
Joe Crawford trying to feed Randolph Morris. It was defective, but still wound up with Morris. Oh. So this has been a disaster waiting to happen for Kentucky, and they get bailed out on a push called against Lorenzo Thompson, who just came in for Wesley Green, and that's the second on Thompson.
He does get his money's worth. The impact, he's got a little smile. He's at the takedowns.
Out of the corner, Bobby Perry to miss. Here comes Mejia with the ball down by 5. Clinkscales appeared on the Rosie O'Donnell show and Oprah as a 5th grader to show off his basketball skills. And Karan Clark demonstrating his, a spinning bucket, and he'll go to the line with a chance for a 3-point play.
They do some nice things. They open up the inside for the dribble drive. Occasionally they'll slip a postman. What a nice drop step, solid move by Clark.
An exceptional athlete. He's strong, an improved shooter, pretty solid offensively. Transferred in from Miami. one of only 2 players ever to play for 2 different schools in the Big East.
I know it, Alex.
Ray Knight. Ray Knight, Georgetown and Providence.
Not the third baseman. Nancy Lopez. My buzzer's not working.
And while you're fixing your buzzer, you really need some inside support defensively with the way guys can dribble and get by. And, you know, Kentucky's got to have some shot blocking, and conversely, DePaul, too. You just can't contain a guy anymore with the hand-checking rules.
I'll tell you what, I like this smaller lineup that Jerry Wainwright has put on the floor.
Stevenson to the bench after his second foul. With Bradley with the ball, Sheree Thomas back in with Perry, Morris, and Crawford for the Kentucky Wildcats. They get to 3-0 on the season. Picked by the media to finish second in the SECs behind the defending national champs, Florida. Perry, a long jumper. He has 9.
And they ran that flex.
The consensus pick, if they'll be second, why wouldn't you pick Florida coming off the championship that just brought everybody back? But Tubby Smith at a luncheon a few weeks back with about 1,000 people in attendance got some eyebrows raised when he said, we expect to win the SEC.
And Alabama feels the same about their program. How about that cleanup and delivery?
By Karan Clark. 4 points for the junior out of Brooklyn, New York, who averaged 10 per game last year.
Kentucky talked at their shoot-around incessantly about boxing out this DePaul team, and Clark could not have had a better lane to the basket. Nobody jumped in his way.
Bradley a miss. Clark the rebound. Averaging 6 rebounds per game this year at 6'6". And Mejia the finish, and DePaul back within 1.
Cliff is really pushing the ball and making great decisions. Clink scales. Everybody.
The lefty with the look-away pass, and he's a confident young man right now.
Sheree Thomas shut off by Chandler. Tough fade away on the baseline by Crawford, and now a chance for the lead for the first time today for DePaul.
Nice work.
And a foul called on Randolph Morris. Marcus Hurd will go to the line after the second foul on Morris. They'll have a chance to give DePaul the lead when we come back.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. This year, there's no place like Lowe's for the holidays. Lowe's, let's build something together. And Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Another spectacular late afternoon here on the island of Maui, where Kentucky leads DePaul by 1. Kentucky opened the game leading 10-0 and led by as many as 12. On Sunday morning after the tournament's welcoming press conference, each of the participating schools given a surprise gift. The coaches each received a tournament-logoed surfboard, all waxed up and ready to hit the surf.
How big of a surprise could it be? They give it to the coaches every year.
Yeah, that's what I asked our producer, Aaron Stoikov, who wrote that little copy I just read to make the Syracuse University Communication School proud.
Hey, Sean, Bubble Boy used to be a surfer.
Jay
rode the waves
in the mean streets of Southern
I
California.
think a little pond in the main part of town.
There's the first lead for DePaul. Looked like they might get blown out, and they couldn't have come here with a tremendous amount of confidence given they were 1-2. Hard to believe this team lost to Bradley and Northwestern. No offense to those schools, but DePaul's been much more impressive here tonight. And a foul away from the ball.
Cliff Clinkscales.
Kentucky doing a better job of running through their cuts on that last possession, not allowing themselves to get bumped off their intended path. And you talk about taking the lead and being confident. This DePaul team yesterday, when the lights went out on their practice, you were thinking, wait, I wonder if their confidence is shaken. But right now, they feel like they can win.
Inside Morris for the bucket to put Kentucky back on top. 7 points for Randolph Morris. The key for him this year will be to stay out of foul trouble. Last year he averaged just 24 minutes per game because he was frequently in foul difficulty. He has 2 today.
Oh, pretty, huh?
Sammy Mejia.
So the last trip down, Kentucky was against the 2-3 zone with all small people. Heard the biggest, and right away, a sub will be coming in. They have not handled Morris on that last trip well.
Well, Mejia really took advantage of Joe Crawford defensively on that last possession. He is so good with the ball.
Crawford drives by Mejia and had it spin out. Randolph Morris, and a foul called. Marcus Hurd called for the personal. His first. Jerry Wainwright didn't like that call.
Mejia with the jab step along the baseline, getting that one step on Crawford, and Crawford unable to step in front and cut out that baseline. And Sammy Mejia, the size he's got as a point guard, he's really terrific. You can see the fourth player in DePaul history to go 1,400 and 300.
I'm waiting for your buzzer.
You're waiting for my buzzer to tell you who it was? Dave Corzine, Tom Kleinschmidt, and Terrence Green, I'd say.
Boy, you're good. You are good. You read your notes as well as anybody I know.
I can't wait till we're both on Stump the Schwab together.
I hope I'm on vacation.
What are you not? Really?
Where did he go to? Did he go to Gordon, if I'm not mistaken? A big recruit that Digger Phelps lost.
Which he? You mentioned
Tom Kleinschmidt.
Yes.
You usually can pick that up without asking.
I know. Usually I fill in the sentences. Bill would have read about his notes, but he left that cocktail napkin at Lonnie's last night.
Kentucky going to a zone.
Leading by a point. More than 5 minutes played second half. Mejia for three. Didn't get the bounce. Out of bounds. Last touch by DePaul.
Well, Tubby with a good move, too. Slowed them down, made them think a little bit. Forced a deep jack.
A lot of times what a zone will do is cause a motion team or a team that likes to pass and cut, cause them to stand. And if you can get this team to stand, you've gone a long way to beating them. Because I think DePaul is very difficult to guard with their man-to-man stuff. They're so well coached, well-conceived offense, very difficult to contain.
Perry to Bradley, now Crawford out there with Thomas and Morris for Kentucky, leading by 1, 10 seconds to shoot.
Nice show and recover.
Chandler's defended very well in this game.
I love that little pull-up jumper. You mentioned earlier, this kid's really playing good basketball, Perry.
He had averaged only 4 points per game in their first two. He has 11 today. And Morris has a rebound.
Looked like he got hit, Chandler, when he went up for that shot.
6 boards for Morris. So Ray Thomas off the setup from Crawford.
Nice bounce. Draw two. Kick. Solid play.
And a nice job by Sheree Thomas to loop around behind.
His first bucket, and it prompts a timeout from Jerry Wainwright. Kentucky by 5, 13 minutes to go. Another beautiful sunset. That's a daily occurrence here in Maui, looking across at the island of Lanai.
And speaking of a beautiful move right here, I just love the ability to put it down and pull up. Defense takes away the lane, square the feet, propel upward. A little nylon by Perry. They just got to guard a little better. And Jay, an inside game is lacking for Kentucky. That's, I think, a major issue.
Well, when they throw the ball into Randolph Morris, he just hasn't been finishing plays strong. He's not the kind of player that has great lift or explosion ability. So he's going to have to get his work done early and get an angle and seal somebody off and go hard to the basket.
6 straight points for Kentucky after DePaul had rallied to take the lead. It's Kentucky by 5, under 13 minutes to go, and down 8 seconds on the shot clock now for the Blue Demons.
Nice.
Wesley Green wide open. Haran Clark had trouble with the ball in the lane. Powered up a shot. Chandler has it. And there's a goaltend against Randolph Morris.
Oh, what a scrappy trip by DePaul. Just out-hustled, out-fought that particular time.
Well, Tubby Smith goes to the zone to try to keep DePaul's handlers out of the lane, and they still get in to the middle of the lane to break down that Kentucky defense.
The ability to drive between defenders against the zone, such a creative maneuver.
Defense and rebounding were part of the problem last year for Kentucky. Looking in for Sheree Thomas, who's trying to post up. Now Crawford.
Give it in.
Oh, lock him.
Yeah. And a foul committed by Hurd prior to the shot. Well, when your best rebounder last season was your point guard, who's now in the NBA with the Boston Celtics, that's a problem.
Well, it's something they've got to gang rebound. All 5 guys have got to go to the defensive glass. That includes the guards. But guys like Bobby Perry and Sheree Thomas.
And you've seen Rondo early on. He had a great spring camp.
Yeah, he was the talk of the preseason with the Celtics. His minutes down once the season has started. That's caused some to criticize Doc Rivers in a time that's not usually very critical. Boston, Massachusetts. Crawford, the easy score inside. Matter of fact, Danny Ainge, who drafted Rajon Rondo, is here starting the Maui Invitational again.
Kentucky still needs to be active in this zone. Just because he goes zone doesn't mean you're taking a rest. Got to keep those hands up and active.
The freshman Walker missed a long 3, controlled by Joe Crawford. His 3rd rebound to go with 4 points. Cats by 5, 11:15 to go.
All the ball has to do against the zone is run baseline. Nice penetration.
By Ramel Bradley. He went right by Wesley Green. 14 points for Bradley. And another timeout called by DePaul. That's back-to-back big performances by the junior. He had a career-high 21 in the last game, the victory over Mississippi Valley State Friday night at Rupp Arena.
Well, Bradley with the hesitation and the nice fake to Bobby Perry that helps freeze the defense or get him to lift up just a little bit so that Bradley could get all the way to the rim.
This is a big timeout right now for DePaul. What are you going to run against the zone? Morris does not want to run baseline to go get jump shooters, so they should attack inside.
Well, I'd take the ball away from Chandler, maybe flash somebody up the middle and let Chandler go behind for a lob to try to get something that would get a little bit of momentum.
Winner of this game on to tomorrow's semifinals of the EA Sports Maui Invitational, part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Memphis and Georgia Tech have already advanced. They'll go head-to-head tomorrow night at 7 Eastern Time over on ESPN. Then the winner of this one against the winner of the last game here tonight between UCLA and Chaminade. That semifinal will be tomorrow night at 8 Eastern Time. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. It'll be at 9 Eastern Time, pardon me.
And fellas, how about the talent in that game tomorrow? Memphis and Georgia Tech particularly.
Crack meat.
Mejia to Walker. And now Clark. They're out there with Chandler and Green for Coach Jerry Wainwright. 10 to shoot. Mejia drove on Perry and scored. Wasn't intimidated by Morris coming out after him, and Sammy Mejia has 10.
But Kentucky not doing a very good job of seeing the ball. They need to get there on that drive. Somebody needs to come over from the weak side and take a charge or stop that drive.
Crawford. 3.
Well, that's a tough little pump fake and still have the legs to deliver.
And over a very good defender in Sammy Mejia, who I think's among the top 20 or so defenders in the country.
And the response by Chandler inside. Midway through the second half. Entertaining ball game. And it's Kentucky, which has led virtually throughout by 6. Crawford the miss and out of bounds. Last touch by Ramel Bradley. This was the move you were talking about, Bill. That's not very easy.
He's got his legs.
And we're back in Maui, the west side of the second largest of the Hawaiian Islands. And it's Kentucky by 6.
As we go inside the play, the big fella, little short corner, and the difficulty here, I think Morris doesn't close well, Jay.
Not a good closeout at all. Goes out standing up and allows Chandler to get around him on the baseline side. That breaks down your entire zone defense.
And that worked. Let's see if they go back to it, take advantage.
A very good call on the second largest island. Your knowledge of the Hawaiian Islands is stunning.
729 square miles there, brother boy.
And 21 miles across the summit depression of the Haleakala Mountain.
Have you been up to Haleakala?
I have.
Dormant, thankfully, volcano, about 10,000 feet. Out of bounds, last touch by Kentucky. Oh, there's Haleakala.
My family has gone up there.
Yeah.
To get away, I'm sure.
Some nights I feel as high as that particular area.
If they had a pub up there, you might have made the trip. Easy. They say when you get there, it's very cold. I mean, you leave and it's 80 degrees, and then you get up there and you need a winter coat.
Wilson Chandler again, exploiting the matchup of having Randolph Morris on him on the perimeter.
He's so tough in and around.
He has 16 points, and as has been the case throughout, the ball bouncing back. Nice catch by Morris off the feed from Perry.
Crawford wouldn't throw it inside. They reversed it, and it was Perry looking inside after Randolph Morris did a nice job of sealing off.
Raylon Burns has had a quiet game. Nice little spinning way up there. He has 9 points. Averaged nearly 12 per game last year.
2-2-1. See what they settle into.
Neither team has committed a turnover in this half. It has been a very well-played second half and a well-played game for this early in the year, particularly on offense. Bradley got Walker in the air and drew the foul.
Pretty tough defensively, too. I thought Walker did a great job with his footwork, taking the angle. And then, there's that earlier pass. Perry with a great look, as you noted. I think the experience of playing a few years, you'll make that. You have the courage to make that type of entry. And a little kiss at the end by Morris.
And that's where Wesley Green's got to improve his conditioning and his footwork to try to get around in front, break contact, because you can't get sealed off that high.
Bradley, junior, first-year starter. We talked about the perception that the recruiting has dropped off at Kentucky, but he's a junior. Part of the junior class, so when these guys came out of high school, it was the most highly touted recruiting class in the country. That was only a few years ago with Morris and Rondo and Crawford and Bradley. They had 3 McDonald's All-Americans in that class.
A lot of things have evened out. We read the magazines before the season. Everybody has their best recruiting class ever. I mean, everybody's getting good players. So, I just don't think it's the way it was, and people are going to have to learn to accept that.
Well, Tubby Smith gets criticized for his recruiting in the same way that Gary Williams did at Maryland. And people want it both ways. He either can't recruit. If he can't recruit, he's one unbelievable coach to win 27 games a year. He's getting good players.
Chandler turns down the lane, and he got bumped by Orbjut, who's back into the ball game. Kentucky a little short-handed inside at the start of the year here. The 7'2" sophomore center Jared Carter is out for about 3 or 4 weeks with a dislocated shoulder suffered in practice.
I know this is before your time, boys. The weave. This is how we learned how to play, basically. Step and cut. Old-time city basketball.
I thought a lot about a weave.
We were hoping you'd get one.
So are the lighting and camera people on these crews. Chandler with 17 now. He's a sophomore from Benton Harbor, Michigan. Played on a team ranked #1 in the state of Michigan in high school at Benton Harbor High.
You wonder how many points he could put on the board if he really looked for his shot.
Or they look for him more often, right? A little 2-3 zone now. Test the patience.
10 seconds on the shot clock.
And back to man. Nice slip to the goal.
Lukasz Orbjut fouled on a beautiful bounce pass to set him up by Ramel Bradley.
What a catch and finish by Orbjut.
Foul on Chandler, his first.
Well, the big guys turned you on, Jay. Great read. Solid maneuver.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Maui Visitors Bureau and the Magic of the Isles of Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, and the Volkswagen Jetta. Safe happens.
6-point lead for Kentucky. 7:42 to go. The winner of this game will stay in the winner's bracket and meet the winner of this game, UCLA and Chaminade. The final action of the day here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. That's at 11 o'clock approximately. Shortly after we're finished with this ball game, we'll look at Aaron Aflamo, one of the best players in the country. Bruins lost a lot of talent off that team that went to the national championship game last year, but still ranked number 5 because they have a lot of talent back.
The personality of Ben Howland prevails. The defensive recognition and physical play.
Orbjut finished the 3-point play. He has 7 off the bench. That's the margin for Kentucky. First turnover of the half for DePaul, and Meeks makes them pay.
Well, anytime that far out, it's an open invitation to go wire to wire.
Well, you can't cross over in front of a good defender. You show the ball, Kentucky is good enough to take it from you, and Ramel Bradley did it all by himself to start that. Outstanding defense by Bradley.
I thought he lost it himself a little bit here, but I guess he did get the hands in there.
Yeah, you show the ball, and it's going to get taken away. Defenders are too good, too active with their hands. You know, coaches years ago used to say don't reach. They still say don't reach, but they say active hands. You know, if the ball is shown, which it was there, go ahead and get a hand on it, knock it away.
I spoke to Casey Jones about defense, one of the great defenders, the old Celtic, and he said he initiated action, didn't let the offense control, always had his hands in, throwing guys off stride. And, you know, a lot of guys do that today naturally because they get such quickness and feet are prepared, hands are set.
You try to fake it your man all the time to try to get them to adjust to you instead of you constantly having to adjust to the ball handler.
7-1 run for the Cats over the last 3.5 minutes to open up this lead. Hurd a miss. And the rebound down to Bradley. He's been a standout again tonight for Kentucky. Bradley trying to look in again to Orbjut, who's been working hard to establish position in the lane. Bradley all the way to the bucket. And good defense as Hurd held his ground. Chandler ran right there to drop it in with Sammy Mejia.
Well, that's why you run the floor. A lot of blue shirts down, not enough whites to counter.
And when everybody goes for a block shot, that oftentimes is the thing that opens up the offensive glass. Mejia taking advantage of it.
Perry, Orbjut, rolled toward the bucket, was wide open but wasn't expecting the pass. He turned to see it just in the nick of time, and then he was fouled.
Lukash has been a factor for this team. Good, solid, intelligent approach. And at the other end, they needed a big basket. Hurd gets the jumper. Chandler's got to get more touches, I think, for this team to be a factor. At least get them a look, and you can. They ended up with a good shot, but you might enjoy more success with him involved.
Well, the 7-foot 1-inch Paul at the line, and he made the first free throw. One of 3 seniors on this Kentucky team. Came over to Bridgeton Academy in Maine, a fine prep school program after he grew up in a traditional European sports academy environment, honing his basketball skills as a youth in Poland. The shooting continues just about where it was in the first half. Hurd, baseline drive around Orbjut.
Oh, what a nice little maneuver by Mejia, and then the adjustment around the rim.
Well, everybody that catches the ball with Orbjut on him is giving him a little shot fake and then going right around him. And Orbjut cannot go for those shot fakes. He is big enough and long enough to wait until that shot goes up and try to block it late or bother it late.
Guys, if you agree, win or lose, DePaul's going to benefit from this. This is by far their best performance of the year. Crawford from just beneath the free throw line.
And your comment on Orbjut, Morris has been waiting to come in for quite a while, too, so I think somebody noticed it.
Oh, what a play.
And then Bradley traveled.
You know what?
I don't like that call.
I think that was legal. He was not up to go down. He was in the middle. This is interesting. See, his feet weren't on the ground when he actually caught the ball.
I don't think you have to have your feet on the ground in order to travel.
No, but I do think once he hits the floor now, that's a pivot foot. We'll have to check with Hank.
It's close. It's an awfully close call.
And it's the first turnover of the half for Kentucky. And now a mini timeout requested by Tubby Smith, who didn't like that call at all and is still pleading his case for Tony Green. So an 8-point lead for the Cats with 5:19 to go.
Now, this is the kind of hustle you like to see out of your point guard. An outstanding shooter from the perimeter, a good scorer. Look how he squares himself coming off that screen. Knocking that shot down in the first half and then taking the ball to the basket, calling his own number. But he's also gotten on the floor for loose balls. He's grabbed some defensive rebounds. Ramel Bradley has had a good overall performance for Tubby Smith.
And great confidence in the leadership role, too. Doing solid things on the fast break. And known as a heck of a defender besides.
And on the same page with Tubby Smith about how the offense should be run. Last year, apparently, there was a running dialogue between Smith and Rondo about the philosophy of offense.
Rondo's philosophy was, let me do it. And Tubby's philosophy was, how about all five of you do it?
Well, he liked to keep it in his hand, Rondo. And Tubby wants to keep it up.
That's his strength. Yeah. As he's demonstrated now in the NBA preseason, putting it on the floor and going by people is his strength. But I think it's not necessarily what the coach always wanted.
But especially in transition, though. Sometimes having it in the point guard's hands exclusively in transition can kill a fast break. Guys stop running.
Move the ball. Dribbling a little bit too much right now. The defense can settle in.
So the open man was hurt. He needed to get the ball.
We need somebody to take a shot. It's Hurd, who made a three with Morris lunging out at him. Marcus Hurd, the senior from Springfield, Illinois.
It's at 1-3-1.
Bradley to Crawford with Morris, Stevenson, and Meeks for Kentucky.
The guys are getting open behind this zone.
A deep three wouldn't drop for Crawford. It got tipped back to Crawford. He took a bounce and still scored.
So pretty aggressive offensive rebounding. They're going to be able to get corner jumpers against the 1-3-1.
All 11 points for Crawford here in the second half. 4 minutes to go. Kentucky by 7. They've had a couple of seemingly comfortable working margins. Only to watch DePaul come right back into it. Wilson Chandler was fouled, the third against Joe Crawford. And the fourth team foul against Kentucky here in the second half. 7-point game in Maui.
Dave Revson, Fran Fraschilla, and Stephen Bardo in the studio. We've got college game night coming up between games. Duke and Ohio State, both in action tonight. Guys will tell you which of those teams are certainly in the discussion. It's the best young talent in America. Also talk top coaches.
Coaching is a lot of different ways to evaluate great coaches. You wore out Lou Henson. You know what I'm talking about.
I love good coaches, good teachers, and we got two great ones coming up.
All that coming up in between games. Sean, back to you guys.
All right, Dave, thank you. Memphis and Georgia Tech, the winners here earlier today. Javars Crittenden, the impressive freshman, had 20 in the Yellow Jackets win over Purdue. And the winner of this game will meet the winner of the last game of the day here. Still to come between Chaminade and UCLA. The semifinals tomorrow night starting at 7 Eastern time on ESPN.
A couple of really impressive freshman point guards. Crittenden, as you mentioned, he got to the rim just about any time he wanted against Purdue. And also Willie Kemp for Memphis.
Memphis had 4 players in double figures in its victory.
What a bad one here. Abused the clock.
3 fouls on Randolph Morris. Tubby Smith checking with his assistants to make sure he knows how many fouls Morris has. Morris did not have a foul in their last game against Mississippi Valley State. And that was the first time that had happened in a game since 2004.
I'm not a big fan of big guys not having any fouls. You don't want too many.
We watched you play.
You need some.
That's like the old thing, if the third base coach doesn't get somebody thrown out the plate every now and then, he's not doing
He's not adventurous.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, pretty good idea if you don't have any fouls. You haven't guarded anybody either.
Well, Mejia really, it was one of those bang-bangers. Could have been a charge, or he could have got to the free throw line. Nothing.
Better be careful not to get a carry on these. shot.
Just space enough to give him an angle of delivery.
He really does have a nice touch facing up.
He was 13 points. He was second team All-SEC in the preseason coaches poll. No luck there for Chandler. It rattled out. And now DePaul in the danger zone, down by 9 without the ball. Another 3 minutes to go. Bradley for 3. Morris wide open.
Very fortunate. Didn't need the jumper. Great dive to the rim by the big fella.
15 points, 8 rebounds for Randolph Morris, and another timeout called by Jerry Wainwright. Morris very nearly had a double-double in each of their first 2 games. He had one against Miami of Ohio, 12 and 10, and he had 18 and 9 against Mississippi Valley State.
Just enough room to make yourself available, and Tubby on the timeout went right to Bradley, and I'm sure he said, hey, you didn't need it that quick in the shot clock, but how about the big guy? You mentioned not many fouls the other night. If he can be aggressive, Jay, this could be a solid basketball team.
There is no question. I really like the way that Morris was shot prepared when the ball got to him. He was ready to go up for it. But I think that what Tubby was talking to Ramel Bradley about was pushing the ball up the floor a little bit faster. He just kind of walked it up instead of putting some pressure on that defense.
You didn't mind that jump shot?
I didn't like the jump shot.
Okay.
But I would say if you push it up a little bit quicker, put some pressure on, then maybe you can get that defense to make a mistake. Because I do think Kentucky wants to push the ball more this year. They don't want to be a walk-it-up team. I think they want to get it up quickly, get into their secondary break, and try to get something quickly if they can.
Tubby Smith, now 55 years old, Maryland native, one of 17 children, and one of only 8 coaches to ever take 3 different schools to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. One of 3 active coaches to do it, Bill Self and Rick Pitino the others.
He mentioned the 17 children last night at the banquet. And a couple of years ago, he was telling me we were all on time for dinner.
Yes.
If you were a little late, you were out of potatoes or whatever.
And he was also a terrific athlete. Wanted to go to the University of Maryland, wound up at High Point, and tell you what, he's still a pretty darn good athlete. I went on a couple power walks with him this summer, and that guy can motor at 55.
You have a good power walk when the check comes.
Mejia in the lane for DePaul. DePaul is out of timeouts. Mejia has 14 points, and Karan Clark nearly picked it off. Were you walking in Kuwait? Because Tubby was one of the coaches on Operation Hardwood 2 this summer that went over to coach on the military bases in the Middle East, as you've done each of the last 2 years.
That's where we walked, and it was hot. It was hot and quite an adventure trying to keep up with Tubby. He can really power walk.
And who was the champion coach?
It was Kelvin Sampson. He beat Tubby's team in the final. No, I got to the Final Four.
Yeah, we're only 8. Congratulations.
No, there were 12.
All right. Once again,
Morris, the basket.
Boy, he's doing some intelligent things and squaring, using the big wide shoulder to complete the sequence. Oh, the old dribble drive. So attractive. People step up, and here just a little bit of power and a completion by Morris.
3 fouls now on Chandler. Morris short on the free throw. Off the iron to Mejia. The largest lead was 12 in the first half of Kentucky. 11 now. And Mejia will bring them closer.
Tough, huh?
And DePaul is beating Joe Crawford off the dribble at every opportunity. Whoever's matched up with Crawford on him has been driving him.
And Mejia is 6'6" with a little kiss completion. Uses that size and elevation to convert.
4 fouls on Crawford. And he is first trip to the line. 57% for the season from the free throw line. That's an area in which they could improve as well as the season goes along. The first 3 games, they were 58% from the line as a team.
1-2, 1-1, 3-quarter court pressure. Kentucky breaks it pretty easily.
Keep running your stuff and then settle late.
Bradley guarded by the freshman Walker. And Walker ripped it away, and then I believe Bradley fouled him.
You're right, Sean. Got a little too deep, indecisive. He knows that's part of the learning process.
And now DePaul gets to walk down to the other end for a couple of free throws to score with no time going off the clock. It's one thing to turn it over, get the ball taken away from you, but you cannot compound that mistake by fouling and putting yourself in the 1-and-1.
First foul on Bradley. It is the 1-and-1. Walker to the free throw line. hasn't missed yet as a collegiate player. The freshman 6 for 6 this season, and still perfect. He was a highly touted recruit, and they have a recruiting class coming in next year that's been ranked in just about every recruiting analysis service as one of the top 10 in the country. They have really benefited from the move to the Big East in recruiting.
Jerry waxes eloquently about Will Walker, what he means to the program.
Oh, what about pass? Oh, boy. Last touch by Crawford. And some bad possessions here for Kentucky as they try to ice this game. Now DePaul has it back down by 6 with 1:34 to go.
And this is where you need forwards or postmen that can handle the ball and make good decisions for Kentucky.
5 straight points for the Blue Demons. Chandler and Clark, and a foul called on Perry.
That was a nice cut against the pressure by Chandler, but that's where his athleticism and ability to make plays almost worked against him a little bit. He needed to go right into the contact.
Great handle by Mejia, Jay.
Go into the contact and get that foul call right away on Randolph Morris. Instead, almost had the chance for Kentucky to get that possession.
Ron Clark with 5 points now. He's 1 out of 2 from the line. He was their leading scorer with 12 points, 4 steals in their win over Eastern Illinois. Their only win of the season so far.
Boy, they got Bradley on a foul. Pushing off.
And just after Morris makes a big-time physical rebound, too. And this is what we were talking about. When he asserts himself, look at this. Turn it, control, and then the giveaway. Just unnecessary.
And that's what it was right there. He threw the arm up into Jabari Curry. And they gave it to Morris.
But they had the wrong guy.
They had the wrong man. That looked like Bradley.
They gave the foul to Morris?
Yep.
That wasn't even close to
it instead of 3. He meant to give it to Bradley, but they charged it to Morris, and that's his 4th. And now an offensive foul called. And Bradley slow to get up as he crashed into the photographers.
Here on the drive, and great footwork defensively. I think they just called it on the wrong person. Now, no whistle yet.
Yeah, it's on Bradley. There's no question about it.
I just think they announced the wrong person. But great defensive presence by Kentucky with the footwork to pick up that charge.
Against Mejia.
See Mejia with the offensive foul here. Well, that's not much. He lowered his shoulder a little bit, and Bradley keeping, they would call that maintaining initial guarding position. That's what I call a flop. But those happen bang, bang. They're hard to call, but there's no way that that was an offensive foul.
I think it was a pretty smart play.
Oh, I really do. It was a really smart play.
I think you got the contact. You can be moving. Tough one to go against you.
Yeah, but I don't think, listen, these things happen fast. I'm not saying that I would have called it differently if I saw it at that speed. But you look at
criticize the call, just criticize.
I am criticizing the call. Let me do it. But he did not maintain initial guarding position. Sammy Mejia beat him to the basket, and he flopped. That's all there is to it in that replay.
Foul on Mejia was his first. They did change the foul call that was announced and originally put in the book on Morris, but they changed it back to Bradley, as it should have been.
That was at that point of the game. I may have fouled Morris on that catch. Yeah, put him on the free throw line. Yeah. Don't foul now if you wasted all that time.
Walker fouled Crawford. 3 fouls on Walker. And a double bonus now. 10 team fouls against DePaul.
Jerry, as you said earlier, it's got to feel so much better. I mean, you're in the game as a coach. The response is so much better than their first 2 games. They can get so much out of these 3 days.
He certainly dazzled at the banquet. You did a great job emceeing last night. I mentioned his sense of humor. Jerry mentioned a couple of interesting questions and conversations he's had with his players since they got here. One of the players asked him if the palm trees were real. And he assured the player they were. And another player remarked that the ocean here looked just like Lake Michigan. And Jerry said Lake Michigan hasn't been this blue since the 1500s. Couple of big free throws by Crawford. 7-point game. Lahia, strong drive and a charge.
Well, he turned the corner beautifully. That's that area where you run to the rim. That's always a question. How deep is he? Does he have a right? You know, the way the call is now, he was there.
Yeah, he was there. And that there's no sort of circle on the baseline.
Do you like the NBA circle?
Yeah, Rick mentioned it today. I do. I think it really helps everybody in the building, too.
Yeah.
You know,
I like it, too. They used it here. Was it last year as an experimental?
Yes.
Yes.
DePaul bringing the pressure.
Pretty good, though. You get the right guy to foul, huh?
They foul Morris. 4 fouls on Wilson Chandler.
You know, Sean, a shot at Jerry here. He told me last year he has every player come visit him every day. And he said when he started this, as UCLA ponders the next game, some of the kids would stand in the doorway and not come in. And it was not about basketball. And he said the process was such that the relationship grew as a coach and players, and the confidence grew too. It's an interesting rule. Some of my players would not want to come see me, and I can understand why.
Well, Jerry Wainwright lives only about 5 blocks from the DePaul campus. It was a disappointing year in the one-loss record last year. There was a year of transition. First-year coach, new systems, the players adjusting.
When Mike wanted to see you, is it a problem usually, or?
It was never good for me.
Clark missed a 3. Valiant effort throughout, but it's going to come up a little bit short here for DePaul, it appears. They really need this one. They don't get it from Hurd. Kept alive by Chandler. Clark barreled into a defender and scored. He ran over Sheree Thomas. 7 points now for Karan Clark. Will Walker called for his 4th foul. So Kentucky will survive and advance to the semifinals. They'll meet the winner of the UCLA Chaminade game. 5th trip to Maui for Kentucky. They are inching up the all-time wins list. Won it here in 1993 when Travis Ford was the MVP of the Maui Invitational. Now, of course, the head coach at the University of Massachusetts. Great night for Morris.
For emphasis, huh?
Yeah, Clark finishes with 9, steals it. Tried to add a 3 at the buzzer that would not go. And far and away a season high in points for DePaul. They came in averaging 56 points per game. They get 81 against Tubby's Cavs. But the Wildcats prevail 87-81 the final. So 3 of the 4 semifinalists are in place, and the final member of that foursome will be determined in the game coming up in just a matter of minutes from here at the Lahaina Civic Center. Chaminade and UCLA. College game night comes your way next. Final score 87-81. Kentucky a winner.
Hey there, welcome in. It is College Game Night. Dave Revson alongside Fran Fraschilla and Stephen Bardo taking you up to that next game between Chaminade and UCLA. Kentucky does beat DePaul 87-81. Guys, it was 10-0 early on. Looked like Kentucky might blow them out. DePaul did hang around. Stephen, what jumped out to you ultimately about this game?
Well, the point guard play of Ramel Bradley from Kentucky really stood out to me. This young man doing an outstanding job after 2 years. Really came in, coach, with a lot of high praise, but really settled into his role this year. Sometimes when you have a point guard that leads a team in scoring, that's not a good recipe, but this young man knows how to set it up, set his teammates up, but also keep the defense really, really honest. Great pass right there on the interior.
This is a perfect example in my mind, Stephen, of Kentucky is a better team than they were a year ago without Rajon Rondo. This is what, as a coach, I used to call addition by subtraction. Everybody at Kentucky watched Rondo do his thing last year, and everybody also off the court knew he was not a great leader. This is not a vintage Kentucky team. I think it's a top 25 team, but I also think they're going to have better chemistry because they've got more guys that are involved in the offense.
All right, well, the guy who should know very well is Tubby Smith, head coach of the Wildcats. He is standing by now with our Jay Billis, so let's head back out to Lahaina. Jay?
Thank you, Dave. And Tubby, your team got off to a great start, but DePaul fought back into the game. What did you think your team's performance overall?
I thought we did some good things. Certainly we shot the ball well in the first half. I thought we rebounded it fairly well. We kept our composure. Our young guys, I was impressed. They made a good push when we had our freshmen in the game and our underclassmen. So a lot of positive things happened there.
They went with a smaller lineup, tried to take you guys off the dribble. And I thought you made a really great adjustment going to the zone.
Well, we tried to, and they did take us off the dribble whenever they wanted to. They had like 12 out of 14 layups in the first half. So if we eliminated some of those easy baskets in the first half, we might have had a larger margin, but they fought back, made threes. We made some ill-advised decisions there at the end, taking some shots when they shouldn't have. Turnovers cost us. But we hung in there, and I thought our veteran guys stepped up. Randolph had a good game. I thought Wukash came in and played well. He hadn't been getting much playing time. Our freshmen were freshmen. A guy like Perry Stevenson, a little stage fright, but he's going to be okay because these guys were pretty physical with him.
Well, the most important thing, you got the win, and you move on in the tournament to try to win an early season championship. But if you got to pick one thing that you tell your team, we have to do better in order to be the best we can be, what's that one thing you pick?
Well, we gotta start defending better. We're not defending very well at all, and that's something that's been one of our trademarks, and we've got to get back to defending people.
Well, Tubby, congratulations. We'll see you tomorrow. And Rever, before I send it back to you, Tubby was waiting here to get the questions asked, and he said, "What's the holdup?" And I said, "Well, Fran Fraschilla talking." And he said, "That figures." Back to you, Dave.
Thanks. Oh, sorry to keep you guys waiting, JB. I know they all must have tea times coming up.
Oh, man, that's a low blow. He's in Maui. We're here.
Catch a break.
Oh,
I know.
Oh.
I know. All right, Freddie, what's your take on what Tubby had to say? And you mentioned you think this is a top 25 team.
Right.
What will it take to kind of get them to that elite level of Final Four?
Randolph Moore stepping up and being the player everybody thought that he would be when he came to Kentucky a couple years ago. He thought he was going right to the NBA. But if he gives them a solid 16 and 10 every night, I think this could be a team that makes noise at the end of the year.
That was only about 15 seconds. That wasn't bad.
Yeah,
I
kept that
solid. I thought it was very concise, well thought out. How about from your point of view, Steve?
I also like the contribution of Crawford on the wing. That 6'5" swing man gives you a lot of versatility, especially in the SEC. I think he's going to have a big year for the Wildcats.
Bardo, very concise. Straight to the point.
That's what they teach us at Illinois, unlike Northwestern.
Oh, yeah, we just jabber on and on.